Hi, this is R.N. Bhaskar from BKBB, which is an acronym for Bhaskar Ki Business Baatein. And this is a channel where we bring to you every week a policy analysis, occasionally a business story, and occasionally a conversation. But at this time, right now, at 8:15 on weekdays, we bring to you news behind the news. We take a few headlines that are very important for India and for the world, and we analyze those developments. And today, as always, I have to make those three requests. Do click the subscribe button if you have not clicked it already. And if you like the program, click the like button. It helps us in our algorithms with YouTube and Google. And lastly, crucially important, please tell all your friends, all the people you know about us. We want our audiences to grow because what we're doing, we think, is quite important for people, for the country. And today, as always, I'm joined by my co-anchors. There's Katya. Katya, welcome to you.
Hello, sir.
And there is Anurag. Anurag, good to see you. And among all the three of us, we'll deal with the following headlines. Just have a look at it. We have the first headline on how the US has got a resolution passed that it can increase its debt. Frightening consequences. The second one is about how FMCG is slowing down. FMCG growth numbers are slowing down and its implications. And the third one is Maharashtra's incredible announcement that is going to build 3.5 million or 35 lakh new homes. Is it possible? And we'll take all of them, but let's build the first story. And yes, after the stories are over, time permitting, we'll take a few questions and respond to comments as well. Let's take the first one. By a very slim majority of just one, America passed a resolution saying it could increase its debt by 3.58 trillion. Staggering number. And that 3.8 trillion will allow America's debt to go up from the current 37 trillion, which by itself is huge, accounting for almost one third of global debt, and increase it to beyond 40 trillion. Obviously, when you pump in so much of money, your currency becomes weaker, your economy shows signs of weakness, and that is where the bond markets reacted promptly and bond rates started climbing even further. Everyone is now nervous about the dollar. The jettisoning of the dollar has already begun. It may accelerate further. And this could accelerate further by other news that Harvard, because the fight that Trump is having in Harvard, because Harvard refuses to listen to Trump, he's banned the enrollment of foreign students. First time America's ever done this. What happens if students are already there? What happens if future courses? Are you ready to destroy one of the best universities in the world because of personal pique? And that in turn gave credence to rumors that Amazon was shifting its headquarters from Seattle to Abu Dhabi. Promptly, real estate prices slumped in Seattle, and the fears of unemployment, because all the employment would now be created in Abu Dhabi. Late in the evening, Amazon clarified that no, we are not shifting. Maybe the government twisted its arm and said, no, stay, we'll make sure that nothing goes wrong with you. In the meantime, both Tesla and Apple pleaded with the government to keep all imports of components for their produce duty-free. Suddenly, Trump is caught between big players and his mad schemes. Watch the space for what happens to America and the world, because if the largest currency, which is the fiat currency, has bond rates rising, it's no longer as stable as before. It could change. the way money works in open markets. And that takes me to the next story, and the next story is Katya's. Katya, could we have you?
So this story is nothing new, sir. It's been happening for a while. FMCG sales growth has been slowing down. For the Jan March quarter, it is seen the slowest growth it's seen in the last 8 quarters, which means it goes back to 2022. That was when we saw a growth as low as 3.5% across whole market. But what is interesting about Kantar's data that has come out is that it tracks how much money comes into a household as opposed to branded sales, which most people track. So if you see a lot of large FMCG companies like listed FMCG, HUL, Britannia, etc., they say their rural growth is doing better, urban growth is slowing down, which means urban consumption is slowing down. According to Kantar data, that is not true. Urban is growing at the same pace as rural. Both of them are slow, but there is no difference. The only difference comes because a lot of urban consumers are down trading faster. They're going for local brands. They're going for unbranded loose, like say edible oil, etc. The loose atta consumption and those kind of things. That is why you see a dent in package sales, branded sales, but actual consumption has not slowed. The urban basket is same as the rural basket as per Kantar data. But rural market does not have access to a large number of brands. So a lot of FMCG distributors, large format retailers in urban areas offer a large number of options, which is not available in rural. Rural consumers apparently are also aspirational, which means they go for the branded packets. So, which is why it's looking like rural is doing better. In fact, rural is just as slow. The fact that last year monsoons have not been good have also had a huge dent in rural consumption as well. Even though inflation slowing down and with good monsoons predicted this year, it might pick up. But both of them are not in great shape. What do you think about it, sir?
You're right. Uh, Consumption is slowing down because A, not enough jobs are being created. Rural consumptions remain high because a lot of cash freebies being given in rural markets. But urban, which depends on jobs and depends on traffic, even the auto rickshaw driver needs customers. The customer needs money. And so there's an all over, there's a slowdown. And it points straight away to economic policies of the government. But thank you, Katya. A very important story and very important indicators. Thanks again. And now we come to the third story. Call it a dream, call it a myth, call it reality. Anurag.
Good morning. Today's report is about a very crucial housing policy introduced by Maharashtra government which aims to construct 35 lakh homes by 2030 with an estimated investment of around 70,000 crore. The policy Maje Ghar Maje Adhikar, My Home My Right, was cleared on 20th May and sets ambitious targets to address the state's growing urban housing demands. And it also remarks to be the first official housing policy since 2007, nearly 2 decades ago. Although drafts were prepared in 2015 and 2021, but they never formally adopted. The new policy has a lot to offer as the residents are in desperate need for better housing settlements. The policy aims to push for developing residential units close to industrial and employment hubs to support the walk to work concept. Between 10% to 30% of Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation MIDC plots will now be reserved exclusively for housing. It includes provisions for targeting housing for specific groups such as government employees, ex-servicemen, freedom fighters, housing and persons with disabilities, journalists, artists, meal workers, mathadi workers, and airport staff. In line with this, the state will establish 20,000 crore worth Mahavas Nivas Nidhi to support large-scale housing projects and 2,000 crore self-redevelopment fund to promote community-led redevelopments. To fast-track progress in Mumbai's suburban region, a joint venture scheme involving entities like BMC, MARDA, City and Industrial Development Corporation, CITCO, MMRDA, Maha Housing, MIDC, SPPL has been approved for 228 stalled projects. a central feature of the policy is the creation of State Housing Information Portal, also known as SHIP, a digital platform designed to support data-driven and transparent decision making. SHIP will integrate geotagging, monitor fund disbursement, track housing supply, and interface with systems such as Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority. And schemes like Maha Bulek and PM Gati Shakti. AI tools will also be used for forecasting and analyzing to ensure real-time updates and coordination across departments. To identify available land for housing, Maharashtra government plans to create a statewide land bank by 2026. This will include land parcels from Revenue, Forest, MIDC, Maharashtra State Road Development Corporation, and other departments as well. Further, the policy encourages partnership with academic and research bodies such as IITs, IIMs, UDRI, WRI to help shape a knowledge-based approach to housing that addresses economic, social, and climatic challenges. Some major changes are to be it can be expected through this policy if implemented as promised. What's your take on this, sir?
As policies go, it's a good policy. India desperately needs affordable housing. But till now, the track record of Maharashtra has been to give housing in limited quantities to create a lottery culture, where the favored and through lottery, only some people get the housing, and that keeps prices high. Maharashtra government is controlled largely by the real estate lobby. And that is why they do not build enough houses each year to make sure that this artificial demand remains high. And the rental markets for housing remains curbed. These are great plans. Will Maharashtra overcome its greed, or will it go ahead with its construction? Construction is a great economic factor because it creates jobs, it boosts the economy, but it needs political will and it needs integrity. Let's see whether Maharashtra shows both of them. Thanks a million. This is good. And now let me go to a couple of comments that have come in. And the first comment is, in housing, what is the square feet given? Well, there will be different kinds of square feet. For slum rehabilitation, it's kept at 350 to 400 square feet. Sometimes, in some cases, they may go to 450 as negotiated, but they're small. They're small because, remember, Iran, when it went for a housing scheme, had a minimum area of 900 square feet. It's not that India does not have the land. As economists have pointed out, if all people in India divided by 5 and they are given houses, it will not account for more than 10% of the land within India. So everyone can get a house. Land is there, but the will is not there. Okay, let me go to the second question. And the question, I think Katya should be addressing the question, what should be done to improve the FMCG growth market? Katya?
FMCG growth market is very organic. It can improve only when, like you said, there are salary hikes. There's wage growth in rural areas, salary hikes in urban areas, more Narega work, and more importantly, rural market also depends upon remittances. I mean, the money that goes from people who work outside the villages and then they send back homes. So it's also not just what rural economy holds on, but more importantly, in the last year, because of heat waves, there was a lot of pull of agricultural growth, which has impacted rural markets. Urban markets are also vary because of various issues that are happening across the economy. So it's organic. There's nothing we can do, and we just hope that things get better. So
but thank you very much for this one. And there's one more question. Will the US debt should the US debt worry India? Yes, it should. According to economists, Trump is determined to bring down the value of the dollar by at least 30%, which means if you have dollar savings, you lose 30% of your value. Now that in turn will mean that imports into America become expensive and exports become get you that price, will become more competitive. Yes, the Indian rupee will get stronger, not because it's strong, but because the American dollar will become weaker. But effectively, it throws the entire world into turmoil. Let's see what happens. It should worry India. Anyway, that is the end of my session today. And do remember that today is the last day of the week. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy yourselves and look forward to seeing you next Monday once again. We love you with us. Do log in on Monday morning at 8:15. Thank you. Good luck to you.